Welcome to Frywall Fridays. Today we're making a delicious stir fry of tofu and mushrooms. Tofu is a protein that we don't use much in home cooking in the States, but it's worth adding to your repertoire. And it's easy if you learn a couple of simple tricks. Let's get started. For the tofu today, we're going to use firm tofu. You don't want soft or silken tofu because it will fall apart when fried. And the first thing we want to do with the tofu is to drain it of any excess liquid. Otherwise, it's not going to brown properly. So I'm going to take the tofu out of here, put it on a strainer, and then put a weight on it. I'm going to use a pot and let it sit like that for about 15 minutes to let a good amount of the water drain out. While the tofu is draining, we will prepare the vegetables. We have about 6 scallions here, and I will remove the bruised ends and the bottoms. And I'm actually not going to throw these out. I'm going to put them in a tiny little pot and make a little stock with them and the mushroom ends that is going to go into our sauce. All right, and now I'm going to slice the scallions. Fairly large pieces, about an inch and a half long. Next, we have about a half a pound or 3/4 of a pound of shiitake mushrooms. The bottom of the shiitake mushrooms are fibrous, not very edible, but they have a lot of flavor. So we're going to trim those and also place them in a little stock pot and cut the mushrooms very roughly like that. I'm going to add just enough water to cover the stems and the scallion ends and put that to boil for about 15-20 minutes. And our last vegetable is about a 2-inch piece of ginger, which I will peel and slice thinly. While the tofu is draining, I'll also take a minute to toast the sesame seeds. I'm now going to stir fry the vegetables in about a tablespoon of oil. I don't want the vegetables to be thoroughly cooked, just slightly softened and a little bit browned. Once the veggies have just started to brown and soften, we'll put them aside in a bowl. We can now go back to our tofu, and you can see how much water has drained off of it. We're going to discard that water. I want the tofu to be as dry as possible so it browns nicely, so I'm going to pat it some more with a paper towel. And now I'm going to carefully cut it into cubes, slicing it lengthwise one time, across, and then the other way. I'm going to take the tofu and put it into a bowl. And to the tofu, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and a couple tablespoons of cornstarch, which is going to be our thickener for the sauce. I'm going to very, very gently try to incorporate that together. Even though it's firm tofu, it is somewhat breakable, so we want to be as gentle as we can with this. We're going to try to get the cornstarch as evenly distributed as possible. To prepare the sauce ingredients, I'm going to combine 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of mirin, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper flakes. I also have ready about half a cup of that stock that we prepared, and also toasted sesame seeds for a final topping. The pan is nice and hot and has about a tablespoon of oil in it. I'm going to go ahead and add the tofu, and I'm going to spread the tofu apart so that it's not crowded. And I'm not going to play with it too much. I'm going to let it brown on one side. It'll take probably a couple of minutes, and then I will turn the tofu to brown on 1 or 2 other sides. This whole process here should take about 4 or 5 minutes. Make sure that at least 2 sides of the tofu are nice and brown. You can see the tofu here has a beautiful brown look to it. At this point, I'm going to add the veggies back in and give it a couple of stirs to let the veggies heat up. Next, I'm going to pour in that stock that we're making on the side. I'm going to pour in about half a cup, and you can see the pan is really hot. I'm going to let it reduce to about half. And next, I'm going to add the sauce, that mixture of mirin and soy sauce and vinegar. And just let that coat, reduce a little bit, let the sauce thicken. And we're done. All right, let's get this plated. This isn't just delicious, folks. It's also really, really pretty. Look at that. And we'll top it with some of those toasted sesame seeds. That and a bowl of rice, and you're going to have a pretty happy family. Enjoy!